You're standing over the ball, your right elbow drifts away from your body, and you already know what's coming, that weak slice that leaks right into the trees again. You've been told 1,000 times to tuck that elbow in. So why does tucking it make everything worse? The answer isn't American. It isn't from any golf magazine. It's Japanese, and it's older than the game of golf itself. A teaching pro in the mountains of Nagano showed me the whole thing in about 90 seconds. I actually laughed at him. Then I hit the purest 5-iron of my life. By the end of this, I'll trace that move back to a sword manual written in the year 1632, and I'll show you how to feel it tonight, standing in your living room without even holding a club. Let me take you back. It was autumn, maybe 15 years ago now. I was on a work trip that had gone long, and a colleague dragged me to a small driving range built into the side of a hill outside Karuizawa in Nagano. 2 tiers, old rubber mats, worn shiny in the middle, a view of maples turning red that I still see when I close my eyes. I was miserable. My game had fallen apart that whole year. Every drive started fine and then peeled off to the right like it was scared of the fairway. I'd taken lessons back home. I'd bought a new driver. I'd bought 2 new drivers. Nothing worked, and my wallet was a couple $1,000s lighter for the trouble. There was an old man 3 stalls down, thin, maybe 70. He wore a faded cap and he hit maybe 1 ball a minute, no more. Between shots, he just stood there, watching the hillside. His swing looked almost lazy, but the sound off his club face was different from everyone else on that range. A low, heavy click, like a door closing on a bank vault. I couldn't stop staring. And after about 20 minutes, he walked over, not to fix me, I think, but because I was so bad it was physically uncomfortable for him to watch. His name was Nakamura. He'd been a working teaching pro through Japan's golf boom in the 1980s, back when a single membership at a good club in Japan could cost more than a house, and ranges like this one had 3-hour waits on a Saturday morning. He'd taught salarymen, executives, kids, thousands of them. He watched me hit 3 balls, 3 slices. Then he said something through my colleague, who translated, that I have never forgotten. He said, "You are trying to hold your arm, but the arm is not the problem. You are afraid of the wrong thing." I had no idea what that meant. I want you to hold on to that sentence, because it took me years to fully understand it, and it's the key to everything. But here's the strange part, and this is what hooked me. When I asked him where he'd learned to teach the downswing, he didn't say a golf academy. He didn't name a famous coach. He pointed at his own right elbow, then made a slow, diagonal chopping motion through the airtop corner, down to the opposite hip, and said one word, sword. Now, therefore, I have to tell you why a man teaching golf kept talking about a sword. Because that's where the trail really starts, and it runs a lot deeper than a driving range. In Japan, long before golf ever arrived, there was a very serious, very studied art of cutting with a 2-handed blade. And the single most important motion in that art is almost identical to the golf downswing. You take a weapon up and behind you, and you bring it down and across the body with speed, on a tilted plane, with both hands on the handle. Sound familiar? It should. It's the same machine. The same body, the same arms, the same physics of a lever swung on an angle. And the masters of that older art wrote things down carefully, because for them, a flaw in the motion wasn't a bogey, it was your life. There's a document, a real one, called the Heiho Kadensho. It was written by a swordmaster named Yagyu Munenori and completed in the year 1632. That's almost 400 years ago. It's one of the most famous instructional texts in all of Japanese martial history, And inside it, along with the philosophy people love to quote, there are precise physical instructions about the cutting motion, about the elbows, about how the hands and arms are supposed to fall. One idea comes up again and again in that whole tradition. When you bring the blade down, the elbows must come home before the hands finish. The elbows drop toward the body and lead the motion. If your elbow flies away from your body, out and up, you lose everything. The power leaks out, the edge turns, the cut goes weak and crooked. Now read that again, but think about your golf swing. A weak, crooked result caused by an elbow flying away from the body. That is your slice. That is the exact thing wrecking your shot. And a Japanese swordmaster described the cure for it in the year 1632, more than 2 centuries before anyone in Scotland ever named the sport we're talking about. But here's where I got stuck for years, and I bet you're stuck in the exact same place right now, because knowing the elbow shouldn't fly away is not the same as knowing what to do about it. Every coach on earth will tell you to keep the elbow in. That's not a secret. That's the first thing they say. The secret is why it doesn't work when you try it, and Nakamura was the first person alive who ever explained that to me. Let me go back to that hillside, because this is where it turned. After he said sword, Nakamura took my 7-iron. He didn't hit a ball. He just brought the club to the top, slowly, and then he froze at the exact moment the downswing started, and he pointed at his right elbow. It was pointing straight down at the ground, down at his right hip, not pinned against his ribs, not squeezed to his side like a chicken wing folded in, just falling, heavy, leading, like it was the first thing coming down and the hands were following it. Then he did an impression of me. He took the club up and shoved his right elbow out, away from his body and up toward the sky. And from there, the only place the club could go was over the top and across the ball, cutting it, slicing it. He'd nailed my swing in one try. It was embarrassing. And then he said the thing that unlocked it. Through my friend, he said, when people tell you tuck the elbow, you squeeze it to your body, you clamp it, so your shoulders turn early and you throw the club out. Do not squeeze it in. Let it fall down. There is a difference. One is holding, one is dropping. I want you to really hear that, because it's worth more than any lesson I ever paid for. When most of us hear tuck your right elbow, we physically pin it against our side and hold it there with muscle. And the moment you tense up and pin that elbow, you lock your torso, your upper body spins out early, your shoulders open, and the club gets thrown up and over the top, straight across the ball, left to right, slice city. You did exactly what the coach told you and you got a worse result. That's the trap. That's why you felt like you're going crazy. The move is not to hold the elbow in. The move is to let the elbow drop down, pointing at the ground, so it leads the downswing while your hands and the club stay back for a split second longer. Falling, not clamping. That one distinction is the whole ball game, and almost nobody says it out loud. So why doesn't anybody say it? Why did I have to fly halfway around the world and stumble onto a 70-year-old man at a mountain range to hear a thing that a sword master wrote down 400 years ago? Now we get to the part that made me a little angry once I understood it. Because somebody has been profiting from you not knowing this. Think about how much money is built on top of your slice. You slice, so you buy a new driver marketed as anti-slice. That's $500. Easy. It doesn't fix you because the club can't fix a body motion. So you buy special offset irons, you buy training aids, those straps and braces that clamp your arm to your side, which, remember, teaches you the exact wrong feeling, holding instead of dropping. You take lesson after lesson where they film your swing and sell you a package of 10 more. The whole machine is designed around managing your slice forever, not curing it in 90 seconds, because a cured golfer stops buying things. Nakamura told me that in the boom years, he watched companies sell Japanese businessmen the most expensive equipment on earth, clubs, memberships, gadgets to men who had never once been taught the single falling motion at the center of the entire swing. He said it made him sad. He said the game had been turned into a store, and the oldest, simplest knowledge, the knowledge that came down through the sword arts and cost nothing at all, got buried under a pile of merchandise. But, and this is important, the knowledge didn't die. It survived in a few old teachers like him, men who'd grown up around both the blade traditions and the game, and who understood they were the same motion wearing different clothes. He kept it alive on a worn-out rubber mat on the side of a hill, handing it to anyone humble enough to stop hitting for a second and listen. He handed it to me. And now I'm handing it to you. Now, I know exactly what some of you are thinking right now, and I built this next part just for you. You're thinking, that's fine for a Japanese pro on a Japanese range. I'm 64 years old, my shoulders are stiff, I've got a bad right knee, and I'm not swinging any sword. This won't work for me at home with my body this week. If that kind of deep, quietly buried knowledge is what you're after, the stuff that survived 4 centuries because it actually works. I've put together a lot more of it in a series called Kaizen Daily, Deep Ma, and the Full System, 3 written guides that follow exactly this thread. Old methods, real mechanics, nothing invented to sell you a gadget. You'll find the links in the description below. But here's what I want you to sit with first, because this is where it gets personal. I want to answer that directly, because I thought the very same thing, and I was wrong. This move is actually easier for an older body than the thing you're doing now. What's hurting you and wearing you out is the clamping and the spinning. The over-the-top lunge puts a nasty strain on the lower back and the lead shoulder. The falling elbow is gentler. It's a drop powered by gravity in a small turn, not a violent throw. Nakamura was 70 and he made a sound off the club face that I couldn't make at 45. This is the move for a body that's got some miles on it. It's the move for you. And you don't need a range, you don't need to spend $1, you don't even need a club to start. Let me give you the drill he gave me, the one you can do tonight in the living room, in your socks, on the carpet. Stand up like you're at a dress, arms hanging. Now, I want you to imagine you're going to throw a ball, sidearm, low, skipping it across a pond with your right hand, if you play right-handed. Just make that throwing motion a few times. Slow. Feel what your right elbow does. It doesn't fly out and up. It drops in toward your side and leads, and your hand comes through after it. That's it. That's the feeling. That skipping stone sidearm throw is the exact motion of the downswing elbow, and your body already knows how to do it because you've been throwing things your whole life. Now do it holding something soft. A rolled up bath towel works. A pool noodle, even a broom held light. Take it back over your shoulder, and instead of shoving your right elbow up and out to start down, let that elbow fall first, pointing at the ground toward your right hip pocket, then let the rest follow. Slow, 10 times. You'll feel your weight settle into your right foot and then move forward naturally, instead of lurching. You'll feel the difference between holding and dropping in about 5 reps. Your body will go, oh, that. Here's the second piece, and it costs nothing. Take a head cover off your driver, or fold a small hand towel and tuck it lightly under your right armpit. Now, the old training aid version of this has you clamp it there with everything you've got. That's the wrong lesson again. Instead, hold it just barely, so soft that if you fling your elbow out and up, it drops to the floor. Then make slow half swings and try to keep it from falling by letting the elbow drop down along your body instead of flying away. The towel doesn't teach you to squeeze, it teaches you to fall. When you get it right, the towel stays put with almost no effort at all because a dropping elbow naturally stays connected to the body. That's the tell. That's how you know you've found it. Do that for 10 minutes tonight. 10 minutes on the carpet. No range fee, no lesson, no new club. And when you get to the course this weekend, your first swing thought is one word: fall. Now let me get to the piece I've been holding back, because there's a layer under all of this that Nakamura didn't give me on that first day. He made me earn it. I came back to that range 4 more times over the next 2 years, whenever work brought me near. And on the last visit, he told me the thing that made all of it finally click into place. This is the part almost nobody knows, and it's the answer to the riddle I opened with. Remember, he said, "You are afraid of the wrong thing." Here's what he meant. When you're standing over the ball and your right elbow flies out, it's not a technique error, not really. It's fear. Your body is scared it won't get the club face back to the ball in time, so it rushes, it throws the arm and the club out toward the ball early to try to catch up. That's the flinch. That's the over-the-top move. You're afraid of being late, so you throw early. And throwing early is exactly what causes the slice you're afraid of. The fear creates the disaster it's trying to prevent. And the sword masters knew this 400 years ago. That whole tradition, the one written into the Heiho Kadensho in 1632, is obsessed with one idea above all others: do not let fear make your hands move first. In the cutting arts, the moment the hands grab and rush ahead of the body, the cut is dead, weak and crooked. Sound familiar? They train for years to kill that flinch, to let the body lead and the hands stay quiet and patient, to trust that if the elbow falls and the body turns, the blade or the club face will arrive on time, every time, with speed you never had to force. So the real secret, the deepest layer, isn't even about the elbow. The elbow is the symptom. The secret is patience in the hands. The elbow flies out because your hands are panicking. Fix the panic, and the elbow falls on its own. Here is exactly how Nakamura had me do it, and this is the finale, the thing I want you to take to the course. At the top of your backswing, before you start down, your only job is to let your right elbow fall toward the ground while your hands do absolutely nothing. Nothing. You feel like the elbow dropped 6 inches and the club hasn't moved yet. In the sword arts, there's a diagonal downward cut from high on one side to low on the opposite side, a falling, tilted stroke. That's your downswing. The elbow leads that fall. The hands are the last thing to arrive, and they arrive on their own, whipping through because they were patient. Fall the elbow. Keep the hands asleep. Let the ball get in the way of a motion that was never aimed at it. Nakamura made me say it out loud in rhythm as I swung. 2 beats. Down. That's the elbow falling. Through. That's the body turning and the hands releasing last. Down, through, never hit. The word hit brings the panic back and throws the elbow out. Down, through. Try saying it on your next swing and watch what your right elbow does. It'll stop flying. It'll start falling. And that low, heavy vault door sound, you're going to make it too. I remember the exact moment it happened for me. 4th visit. Cold morning, my hands were half numb. He said down, through one more time in that quiet way of his, and I stopped trying to hit the ball. I just let the elbow fall and turned. The ball came off the face flat and hard and dead straight, and it kept climbing, and I heard him laugh behind me for the first and only time. He clapped me once on the shoulder and said, in English, the only English I ever heard him use, "Now you are not afraid." That was the whole lesson. That was 2 years of visits distilled into 4 words. Let me tie the thread all the way back for you, because I want you to see how far this traveled to reach you. This knowledge existed 400 years ago, written into a sword manual in the year 1632 by a master named Yagyu Munenori, the truth that a flying elbow and panicking hands kill the strike, and that a falling elbow and patient hands create effortless speed. When golf came to Japan, a handful of old teachers who understood the blade arts recognized the same motion instantly and quietly folded that ancient truth into how they taught the swing. Then the game turned into a store, and the truth got buried under drivers and gadgets and lesson packages, because there's no money in a cure that takes 90 seconds and costs nothing. But it survived in men like Nakamura, on a worn rubber mat on a hillside in Nagano, kept alive for anyone who'd stop and listen. He gave it to me. And now, whether you ever pick up a sword or not, whether you're 40 or 75, whether you've got a fancy club or a garage sale set, you're holding it too. Tonight, on your carpet, with a towel under your arm and your hands asleep, you can feel a thing that a Japanese master wrote down before your country was even a country. Down, through, let the elbow fall. Somewhere along the way, somebody convinced you that fixing your swing had to be complicated and expensive, that the answer was in a new club, a new gadget, a new package of lessons. It wasn't. The answer was old and simple, and it was quietly taken from you and sold back to you in pieces. Tonight, you just took it back. And if you're the kind of person who's always suspected that the real useful knowledge got shelved because the simple truth doesn't sell, that the most valuable things are the ones nobody can put a price tag on, then you already understand what this channel is about. So here's what I want from you. Go try the down through swing thought, either on the carpet tonight or on the course this weekend, and then come back and tell me one thing in the comments. Did your right elbow fall or did it fly? Just tell me fell or flew. I read every one, and I want to know if it worked for you the way it worked for me on that cold morning in Nagano. And if you want more of these, the quiet, buried, hand-me-down methods the old Japanese teachers kept alive while the rest of the world was busy selling us the expensive version, then come with me. This isn't a channel. It's a small group of people digging up what was shelved on purpose and putting it back to use. Subscribe and stand with us, because the next one is a thing Nakamura told me about your grip pressure, how the old masters measured the exact right amount of squeeze using a single sheet of rice paper, and why nearly everyone alive today holds the club too tight and pays for it with every slice and every sore forearm. There's a number to it, a real one, and once you hear it, you'll never grab a club the same way again. Down, through, I'll see you at the range. So that's the overview. But the full elbow and sword move, drilled step by step, everything Nakamura showed me that's waiting inside, the Japanese way circle. In there you can ask me your own question, and a real person, me, answers you myself. And you won't be alone. Just point your phone's camera at the code on the screen. It takes a minute, and you can cancel anytime with one click.